detective on our group, or thinks he is, so.
Hey,
Sounds good.
that's all it needs to be.
Oh, shoot, I better hide the bodies in my car.
So,
Go ahead.
I'm assuming you're Oliver.
Yes.
Thank you so much for interviewing for this position. You know, I can start, tell me a little bit about yourself and why'd you apply for this? We looked at your resume, we know that, we've read that.
Sure, okay. So you know I'm from New Jersey. Very sorry in advance, by the way.
So,
Don't hold it against me. I'm a North Dakota gal.
oh, that's just.
That's why you're here.
We can't ask that, but that means you.
Oh, you told us.
Single values and down roots, man. It's, yeah, no, I definitely am a big fan of living here. We're going to continue living in North Dakota probably for the rest of my life. Right? Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm interested in this position largely because I would like to be able to work as a state's attorney, do various different types of criminal prosecutions. Right now, my practice is mainly focused in property and drug crime over in Grand Forks. I've also done a lot of personal crime over in Burley County. I moved over to Grand Forks because my wife is actually going to law school in the fall, so it's sort of a matter of had to get a new job as opposed to wanting to get a new job. But when I saw the duties of the Wells County State's Attorney, I figured that I would be a really good fit for the role. And I understand you guys have some expectations of what you would want in the position. I think that I can fulfill them without a problem. So if you have any specific questions about, you know, my experience prosecuting, advising county commissions, working on property matters up in Alaska, feel free to fire away.
Anybody else? Ask the last question.
It's, in all honesty, it's probably too soon for them to get into that with you, but knowing what you know about this circumstance, obviously, you've got a practice that you've established in the Grand Forks area, and you're doing some things. Talk about how you envision making this work, maybe.
Right. So the reality of your situation is that you are not going to have a gigantic pool of attorneys all looking to come to Wells County, live in Fessenden. Sorry if I mispronounced the name.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Harvey, wherever. You're not going to get a lot of attorneys who are going to come here. You're not going to entice people to move here, and you're going to probably have to look without the county for any kind of legal help. And I recognize that. But what you're not going to get from most of the other people is somebody who actually came here today and spent the entire day meeting all of the people who were involved in law enforcement. I met with the sheriff, I met with all the deputies, had lunch. I assume you saw me walking by in the restaurant. I forget what the name is, but cafe, whatever it's called.
Main Street Diner.
Main Street Diner.
Exactly. This is why I brought her here. But no, I very much want to do what I can for the stakeholders in the criminal justice system and wherever I can. I like to have a good relationship with them. I like public service as a concept. I've always been a civil servant. It's what I've done ever since I got out of law school, is I worked for the state, either as a judicial clerk or as a prosecutor. And I think that people deserve that kind of representation. I think that that's what tax dollars are for. So that's sort of a roundabout way of.
Okay. All right. As a role as state's attorney, you have to wear a fair amount of hats, and really you'll have a variety of cases. Talk a little bit about how you feel you could handle it.
I have no problem handling it. When I was at the Burley County State's Attorney's Office, I had by far the highest caseload of any single prosecutor, including the state's attorney. I had 1,200 cases in 1 year. 600 of those were misdemeanors and felonies. 600 of those were the traffic tickets that I assume you're now getting because Harvey's PD quit, so everything's going to the state's attorney's office from them. I have no issue handling a large number of cases. I have systems set up on my own to deal with that. I understand it's not going to be that volume of cases here.
1,200? Not
even. No.
No.
But the nice thing about that is that since I can get all the silly procedural nonsense out of the way really quickly, it lets me focus on the important stuff, which is the evidence, what the cops bring to me, what I'm able to charge people with, and then go into court. Honestly, it would be sort of freeing to be able to only have to charge however many cases come out of Wells County, simply because I'll be able to devote more time to them. So that would be how I would see that.
Okay.
So I got a question, and I was really glad to hear you met with the Sheriff's Department, Clerk Court, all of them.
I would have met with you guys earlier, but
Well, then,
Well, we
that's
were
fine.
kind of booked.
But I guess I'm thinking, how do you see your role working with those people plus commissioners and stuff? How do you see your role?
my role as a state's attorney with respect to the commission and the sheriff, to some degree, I would have to be a go-between because there are inevitable tensions that come with the different officers of a county. I'm not going to presume too much about your relationship with the different state organs. I understand from where I've worked in the past that there are always issues with the sheriff and the commission as to what their goals are, what they want. I'm not, look, I know you're laughing, but realistically, that's a problem no matter where you go. My job is to be kind of a facilitator in that respect because I'm the guy who's supposed to provide the legal opinion as to what the right course of action is. Now, you can take that if you want. You are not required to, even though I would strongly advise, X, Y, and Z. You don't necessarily have to do that, but part of my role as the state's attorney would be to be sort of a buffer between law enforcement and the county commission who's elected to, it's in your portfolio. That's what I would see. That's independent of my duties of actually like charging people out and things like that.
Would you consider, would it be within your thing to be at our county commissioner meetings? Is that a goal?
See, I don't have a problem with that in theory because, well, today is sort of difficult because it's on a master calendar day.
Right.
And obviously, if you guys are willing to sort of shuffle around when you would do commission meetings, I would certainly either be willing to call in by phone if I'm doing stuff at the courthouse
Sure.
or whatever, but I would certainly listen in and I would read the minutes, obviously, and I would talk with each of you individually as best as I can about your concerns. If you sent me a specific question, I could give you a ring or email you back. I have no issue with that. I keep regular business hours, so it would be during the day.
Well, and that would be part of your job to give us legal advice at times,
Yes.
even if it wasn't at the meeting, although there's times we'd like it at the meeting. It would just be, well, we have a question that we would relay it to you and expect an answer back within a day or two.
And that's fine, as long as you're willing to give me a buffer of like a day or two to figure
Well,
out
right.
particular, like, because on the spot, I can't necessarily tell you what the right way is to decide how far back somebody has to be from a property line or whatever.
Okay.
Something like that, obviously, would need a couple of days
You don't
to.
have the North Dakota Central Code memorized.
I'm very sorry, I'm not gonna get that
It's
from any
okay,
town.
now we will kind of hold that against you.
Your wife says she already has it memorized.
Hey, why are you undercutting me like that? But,
No, it's good that you have a support system, think of the positive.
that's true, well, she is going to law school in the fall, so, she's gonna be a better attorney than me someday. It is what it is.
Yeah, we are meeting today out of an unrelated other necessity. We would normally not be meeting on a master calendar day.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
So we typically meet on a Tuesday or a Thursday.
Right.
Right.
And if that's something where, ideally, if I could dial in by phone on a Tuesday, if I have, next day is master calendar day and I have to prep for it on Tuesday, that would be preferable. I can probably work with you guys some other way on that. If it's something that you really need to be there for, shoot me an email. I'm sure one or two of you guys will also shoot me an email independently saying, hey, I need your opinion on this. Can you be prepared to talk about it?
And those aren't very frequent.
Sure.
We might have half a dozen a year or something.
But to give you an idea, I have no problem with attending commission meetings and advising.
That's good to hear, because just an example, we had part of our meeting today, we had a disagreement between our water board and our township,
Oh, gosh.
which they came to us for answers, but we are not lawyers. And
Wouldn't expect
those
it.
are the type of things where we would have asked you for advice.
Write that down quick.
Well, in that particular example, it was too complex for you
To take care of
to
at the
take
time.
care of, but we're good at passing the buck. So we said,
Fantastic.
We
that's the
would
state's
have liked
attorney's
that.
issue, and
Yes.
it would,
Yes.
so, yeah.
You talked about this a little bit, but I think it bears repeating if, at the very least, but you're a white collar for life type of person. I want you to talk about professionalism and being a pro.
Professionalism and being a pro, well, when you go to law school, you have to take a class on professional responsibility, which sounds kind of silly because, unethical lawyer jokes abound. But You have to take a test to prove that you're not gonna skin people, and I don't like skinning people. I like dealing with people honestly and upfront. And I might come across a little blunt sometimes. If you ask me a question about what are your flaws, my flaw is that I will tell it to you so direct that you'll be like, whoa, hang on. That's just how I am. It's a New Jersey thing, pardon the
Oh, yeah.
phrase, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
I like dealing with people directly, and I will do that professionally. I will professionally straighten my tie and tell you this is what I think the correct course of action is. But I'm not going to be disrespectful about it because I think that being respectful is part of what being a lawyer is. It's not about being professionally respectable. Some of my colleagues disagree with that. I give them all blessings. I wish them the best in life, but I don't think that much comes from not being professional.
Any other questions? Explain your work schedule. Do you expect this to be a full-time job, part-time job? Do you have a private practice off to the side? What's your thinking on the time frame parameters?
So, the way that it was explained to me was that it would be the type of job that would allow for some private practice on the side. I am not committed to that necessarily if it's not something that works with the amount of work that I'm expected to do. I'm flexible in that way, mostly because right now I don't have a book of business because I do prosecution work
Right.
for another county, and part of that agreement is that I don't do other work. I work
Oh.
for Grand Forks County because
Oh.
they have multiple different
Right.
prosecutors doing
You
the
got
same
a
job.
full-time job the way it is.
Yes, essentially. What I understand about the office, and you are free to correct me if my understanding is wrong, is that it is an office which requires at the moment 2 full-time positions. At least that is how it previously was run, to my understanding. Now, that may not actually be the case, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to take a look at the workload yet. But at the moment, it seems to me like it would occupy 99% of the 40-hour week, from what I'm seeing, including most of the backlog that's built up in the past month because you've had to
Right.
work with somebody
Correct.
who's a project.
I think that's pretty accurate.
And I, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about any particular things. If it's 80 hours of work that needs 2 people doing it, that's going to be what I would have to ask you. I'd have to say, listen, I need a legal assistant to do the basic tasks of filing paperwork because I can't do that in every single case myself. I've got to review evidence and talk to the sheriff and talk with victims and all that stuff. I'm perfectly fine with managing that. I have no problem delegating tasks to other people, but I would need you guys to at least be sort of flexible with responding to me saying, listen, I need somebody to be
Right.
able to cover
And
this.
we have done
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Yeah.
Right, because Kathleen in the past had a legal assistant.
Oh, definitely.
And for us, if you're gonna ask us what kind of a workload it is,
Mhm.
we really don't know.
Okay.
Do we?
No.
Do we know? We
No.
don't know.
And I
And
appreciate
you know
the
what?
honesty on
It
that.
can change like that.
And it can. You'll have a month where you're gonna twiddle your thumbs, you're gonna have a month, you'll be swamped, right?
Absolutely.
That's-
Just-
And we don't know how quick and efficient you are. You know?
I'll give you an idea after a month. You can take a look.
Well,
at it.
so that's my answer.
Yeah, it is.
If you're gonna ask us, well, what,
Wow.
we don't know.
And that's fine. I didn't want to presume anything. I did talk to Kathleen. I understand the circumstances under which she left were not the best, but I wanted to get a full idea of what the caseload was like. She gave me her honest appraisal from her perspective.
Oh, okay.
I also talked to the legal assistant who previously served in the position to get an idea of what duties she had to do so that I would have to know what I would need to learn.
So you talked to Holly.
Yes, I did talk
Okay,
to Holly.
all right.
I didn't specifically go into the circumstances of it or anything. I went into what are the duties, what are the expectations, and what are the hours like. They conveyed to me that it seemed like full-time work. So if that's what you guys need, then I can do that. If it turns out that it's not what you need, we can work on that. But as it is, as I understand it right now, it seems to me like full-time work. And I'm basing that off of what they two said, what Kara has said, Ms. Brinstead, who's taking over right now, and from what the sheriff has told me.
Okay.
So that's my perspective. Obviously, all 6 of you have your own perspective on it as well, which is why I want to ask. The communication back and forth is important. Sure. Sorry, I take too long to talk.
No, it's good. I mean, talk than listening to some of us, so, for me.
Let's,
Any other
let's,
questions?
let's,
Yeah.
talk a little bit about, this group decides that you're a good fit for this, and you think you're a good fit for this. Tell us how you would transition into the position, knowing what you know, and also what you don't know.
Start immediately, throw myself into it. If it's a job that I can do remotely, I would just be 2 weeks to tell my current employer, hey, professionally, here's my 2-week notice, so that I can transition out of that job and then immediately sink into this one. Ideally, if you offered me the job like today, I would be able to cover the master calendar here next month, and that would be fine. We have no issue with that. I've already talked with Judge Hovey, I've already talked with the court reporters and the clerks and everything. They seem pretty enthused about the idea of somebody taking over pretty quickly, because Kara's, got her own practice, and, everything that's going on in Budgett County and all that. So, they would not be a problem for me to transition into the role very quickly. It's my job, it's what I've been doing the past year and a half plus. So, I have no issues with that.
Well, and the good news is, if you've been in Burleigh County and Grand Forks County, you won't see anything here that you haven't already seen.
Unfortunately, that is the case. I don't want to call rural work boring, quote unquote, or anything like that, but I do appreciate that the more serious cases seem to be a little rarer, and that you don't get rocks thrown through your windows.
Oh, that way,
Well, I mean, it's on a really bad day.
no. No, most of us don't have bars on our windows yet, or do you, Boo? No?
I don't need them. I don't need
Oh,
them.
just drag them with the combine harvester and just, go down the street.
I don't need them.
Any other questions?
I'm looking at number 9 here, and these things may not be as important to the gentleman to my left who are the decision makers here, but they're awfully important to me.
Sure.
And I'm going to give you 10 different words, and I just want you to talk about what they mean to you in your world.
Okay.
Communication.
Has to go both ways, has to be expressed clearly. If you're paid to do communication as part of your job, then you should be expected to be held to the highest standard of it.
Organization.
Necessary for legal work, candidates organized office.
Respect.
Has to be earned, but I go into every situation expecting it's going to be given back to me, so I don't have any preconceived ideas of how things are.
Loyalty.
Very important. Can't have a functioning government without it. Certainly not a small business or whatever situation we have here with the county commission.
Initiative.
Lacking in my generation. I'm not trying to see you guys, but realistically, that's true.
Look at who you're talking to here.
Oh, whoa, hang on. All right, look, all of you 30-year-olds, listen. 20-year-olds like myself, in all seriousness, initiatives, something that I pride myself on.
Okay, halfway there. Confidentiality.
Very important, especially for legal work. The nature of the work is you guys really don't want to be involved in the criminal justice system in any way, so don't go rifling through the stuff in the office, I guess. That's, I bet, in terms of keeping it a lot of people. And I keep my mouth shut about stuff that needs to happen.
Details.
The most important thing for a lawyer in his work is to make sure they're all correct. Otherwise, he's on the hook for any mistakes that arise from him.
Reliability.
It's sort of similar to initiative in that, I like to think that I'm pretty good at that compared to other people in my generational cohort, but I show up to work every day. I don't really take sick days. And if I'm working remotely, which I would think that this job would require me to do, it doesn't give me an excuse to take sick days. I don't have a head cold.
These last two, unfortunately, are two words that get used a lot, misconstrued a lot, but they probably mean an awful lot in your occupation. First one is fairness.
Fairness. It's an ideal, it's not a guarantee. I can't give every single person whose file comes across my desk, what they want. I try to do my best to give them all what is comparable to everyone else in their position. I guess that's sort of to explain if it's a person who's, caught smoking meth or whatever, shooting up fentanyl, I have to treat them the same way as the other person who, I found doing that a week ago. I don't know if that's sort of what you're asking in a justice context or if it's in regards to the equalizing commission.
Well, no, you're on the right track. In terms of, and this has to be your response, not one that I'm hoping to get from you.
Sure.
The last word is judgment.
That's his job over there. No, but being a prosecutor is all about making tough decisions. That's why so many prosecutors become judges, is because they need to develop the ability to decide what to pursue, what not to pursue. Juggling a lot of plates, as you said, you wear a lot of hats, but being able to decide what tasks to prioritize is the most important thing. Being able to judge whether something is worth going after is critical to the job. It's not something you can skip out.
And you've likely known, obviously, you haven't been in this career a long time yet. I'm sure you have aspirations and so on and so forth, and have ideals and different things for people who are hoping to go into this. But I have to imagine that if you've heard it once, you've heard it 10,000 times already. That's not fair, etc. And I use these words because, to me, this is what being a pro is. And I'm not just talking about a lawyer. And I'm talking about anybody. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be reliable. You have to be loyal. You have to take initiative. You have to be able to be confidential with those things that need to be confidential. You have to be detail-oriented. You have to show judgment, and you have to be fair. Fair and equal are not the same thing. And, you and I got a chance to speak on the phone a couple different times and so on and so forth. And I really and truly, I say this, I admire your temperament already. And I will let you continue.
Any other questions? I've got one. You conducted a very impressive interview. Here's the question. Okay. Salary, benefits, goals, what are your expectations?
So,
You want $1 million a year, we're gonna struggle with that. That's my point of the
understand.
question.
I get that. So, to give you an idea of my current financial situation, so I can be honest with you about it,
Mhm.
I currently make at the Grand Forks County State's Attorney's Office about $93,000 a year. I understand that Ms. Murray previously made $94,000 after 20 years of service. I understand. $94,000, or roughly around that area, is the amount that I am able to bring in that allows me to pay for my mortgage and for my student loans and to save up so that I can start a family. I didn't bring her to make that point.
That helps.
But it gives you an idea that I am serious about this work. And when I said before that the amount of work that needs to be done is not clear to me, but seems like quite a bit, it really does sort of require me to ask for a salary, not more than what you were paying for, but what you budgeted for the state's attorney's office for this year. I'm not necessarily going to ask for an increase. I don't think that that's reasonable under the circumstances, but I can do the work. And I have a couple of, I'm gonna just have my wife hand out a list of reasons and also why I think it's important for you guys to consider paying me the salary that I'm requesting, which is $94,433 a year. That's what was budgeted for Ms. Murray.
Thank you.
$45.40 an hour roughly. I estimated based on what I thought the legal assistant would make, based on what other legal assistants make in other counties. Currently, you're paying $175 an hour for assistant state's attorney work from Ms. Brinster. I don't know whether that's been billed to your county yet, but that was the rate that was set by the district judge when he found out that there was no state's attorney. It's required by law that he do that.
Yep.
He contacted the Attorney General's office first. I called them to verify this, to say, hey, listen, I know that this county is in need of a state's attorney. Do you want to maybe massage this a little bit so that we can not bankrupt them necessarily? Because you have to pay for paralegal services. I think that if you hire me right now at the previously requested salary or the previously paid salary that Ms. Murray had, that the problem that you will incur by continuing to have Bernster do the work will go away immediately. And I have the experience and the temperament, as you said, necessary to do this job, slip into it seamlessly, and by employment in Grand Forks County, start working for you guys immediately, and then save your taxpayers a bit of a headache down the line. You will very quickly, I think, unless you hire somebody immediately, and this is regardless of whether it's me, Mr. Phyllis, but if you don't hire somebody right away, you're going to incur a very large fee to the taxpayers.
Yeah.
And
I know
as a public servant, I don't think that that is something that I would want myself. I think that it would be better to hire somebody immediately. As far as the stuff that I listed, the reasons 1 through 8 on the next couple of pages, I mean, they kind of speak for themselves. I don't want to presume, I'm sure you've gotten other applicants for this position. I know that the pool of candidates is quite small. I think that there are some other people in the industry who may not be good fits for it, who may be interested in the role, based on my experience with them and other people's experiences with them. I'm not going to name names, but that's the impression that I get from the other people that I know have expressed interest in this job. Yeah, going down on the list, if you want me to attend county meetings, I don't have an issue with that, especially if it's what we listen to over the phone, or if I can get a summarized version from the auditor, that's fine. My law practice is completely new. I have no other clients that I'm advising, so you guys would get my full attention immediately. I keep regular business hours. I'm not a night owl. I understand that there was some, I don't want to go into it, but there was probably some issue with Ms. Murray working irregular hours, even if she did the work. It was a time when it might have been easiest to contact her. I'm not sure if that was the case toward the end, but regardless, I keep regular business hours. I prosecuted half a dozen trials in the past 18 months. There are state's attorneys who have prosecuted no trials in the state. Speaking frankly, I think I'm your best candidate for the position, who has a combination of experience that's relevant to the position, but also ambition to do the job well. So that's my pitch. You can throw it back at me.
Any other questions that anybody has for Oliver?
Knowing what you know, talk a little bit about a paralegal and what you might presume the necessity of that to be.
So, one of the things that I did talk about was whether or not, how do I put this? A legal assistant, ideally, if they are used perfectly correctly, is somebody who can do a lot of the things that a lawyer can, but by virtue of the lawyer being able to sign legal paperwork, appear in front of a judge, and give you legal advice, that's the only stuff that they are not able to do. Everything else, the labor can kind of be split to. And a lot of that means filing paperwork, drafting motions, that sort of stuff. I put the finishing touches on it, or I do the legal research. The research is part of the task as well. Currently, my wife does legal research for me in other areas of law not related to the specific current duties of the Grand Forks County State's Attorney's Office. There are substantive duties. It's not just answering the phone. And I don't have an issue. I understand there was some concern about the idea of a legal assistant not being present in the office itself. I have no issue with somebody working in the office or helping you guys find a legal assistant to work in the office so that there's a body in the office if that's what you need. I can work just fine with people remotely, and I have in the past successfully with legal assistants. So it's kind of a roundabout way of answering the question.
Any other questions? Any other questions for Oliver?
Covered everything.
You got any for us?
Given that this is a kind of time-sensitive thing, and I'm not trying to exert any kind of pressure. I'm simply thinking about this from reality. Is this a situation where you would render a decision right away, like after
Today,
today?
right?
I believe so.
We only have one here.
I mean,
Unless there's something that would preclude us from being able to make a decision, but I don't see that.
that was I think, the thought process of all of us, that we would make a decision today. I mean, we're gonna set up another meeting a week from now to decide, no.
I was gonna say, yeah, and I understand that the interview process requires you guys to make checks and all that stuff, I get that, but it is time sensitive for reasons that you're all aware of, so.
You will hear from us, safe to say, today.
Okay. Cool, thank you very much for your time, I don't have any other questions unless you have.
Thank you.
I got one more, I guess, and that is Wells County. How will the people of this county, the commission, the employees of Wells County benefit from having Oliver Bromke as the next state's attorney here?
And you're asking me to brag about myself in the role?
Have at it.
Listen, okay, you're not gonna get other state's attorneys pulled from the same pool of people that I've worked with, Burley County, Grand Forks, probably not Fargo, as well, who are willing to actually do this job to the degree that I plan on doing. I've already put in effort because I want to serve the people of Wells County to try and meet with as many people that I will be working with or will be working with. Simply because I want the job very much. I would apply that same kind of effort into providing the best services. And again, as I said, that may not mean you listen to every single thing that I say. My job is to advise, so I would be doing the best advising that I think you could pay for.
You've done a lot of good homework already.
Like, I don't mean to be like, you know, whatever about it, but it really is just a matter of math, and I don't think that you guys benefit from me not being completely straightforward about that.
Sure.
You can spend another month looking for more people or increasing the pool, but what's the use of that?
This is an easier question. Are you an East Coast sports fan? What's
Oh,
your
no.
favorite team?
Oh, Eagles. I really like Eagles.
Really?
I'm sorry, like, I hate the
Okay.
Patriots.
Bad
right?
choice.
Honey, for goodness sake. I like Kansas City just fine. I'm not a huge Vikings fan.
Okay.
I know.
So far in this interview, you've done really well.
All right, listen,
Don't blow it now.
if they go all the way, I will become a Vikings fan. I swear.
That's
No,
pretty safe.
no need to worry about
Don't
that.
have to worry about that.
I was just being,
Nah, it's,
And don't worry
I'm
about
just
it.
kidding.
Ex-Viking fan put him in his place the other day.
I know.
No, ex-Viking player, I should say.
I know.
I have one more question for you. At this point, we can appoint someone to fill Kathleen's term, okay? We did run it by the voters to try to get the state's attorney an appointed position permanently, and that failed. With that said, if you come here 2 years, like we're talking about, or what we're thinking about, and at the end of the 2 years, if it's still an elected position, and am I right that elected position requires residency here? If
We
it
would-
stays that way?
We would have to have changes, obviously, to be able to.
Yeah. Would that interest you?
it certainly would interest me.
Oliver, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, just go ahead and explain what we're doing here today.
Okay, well, at the last meeting, I did indicate that I wasn't sure whether or not McHenry County would be interested in retaining my services through the next electoral cycle. They basically approached me and said, yes, we would like you to. So I said, okay, I thought about it, and ended up agreeing to their proposal, pending your guys' permission, essentially. So I have some language that Mr. Stutlein directed to the effect of allowing me to serve as McHenry County State Attorney in addition to Wells County, pursuant to the Country Code subsection that I cited. That would allow me to do both, so long as I get permission from both county commissions. McHenry County needs their permission, so I'm just asking for that from you guys. But obviously, if you guys are opposed to that for any reason, then I completely understand. But yeah, that's the basic idea of what it is. It's permission, essentially, by resolution to allow me to put my name on the ballot over there, and also to serve if elected.
All right, with that, does anybody have any additions to the resolution or alterations to the resolution to allow this to take place?
No, looks fine to me. Are you looking for a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we allow Oliver to be placed on the McHenry County State's Attorney ballot for the upcoming election.
Okay,
I can consent Brian Miller.
okay. Dennis, are you hearing this? I'm not sure if Dennis is still in the call here. Are you hearing any of this, Dennis?
I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, for some reason, something's not going on here. Let me do one thing here, see if I can get another. Dennis, why don't you hang up and I'll call you back.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, I've got to call Dennis back here. He lost or dropped the call here, so hang on, okay?
Hello?
Okay, now let me see if I can, this isn't, hang up one more time, please.
Okay, Hello?
Hi, I've got you on here, but I don't think it's gonna allow me to have a sixth person on here. So, we do have a motion by Stan, we do have a second by Brian, and it doesn't appear there's going to be any additions to the language here, so, give me, whether you got a thumbs up or a thumbs down here, and I'll go back to those guys and you can go back to work.
Okay, yeah, I'm thumbs up for it. So.
Okay, all right, thank you, Dennis, you have a good day.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Bye. All right, I'm not gonna be able to get him in here. Apparently 5 is the limit on this thing, so he has indicated his approval of this in addition to the motion, or to the motion that was made. Is there any other discussion from anybody? Maybe Boone, maybe you gotta take over here.
Is there, we have a motion on the floor, is there any other discussion? Nope, it looks good to me.
Okay, then we'll do a voice vote then, Boone.
If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye. 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 Aye.
And Boone, are you good?
Motion carried.
And Boone, you voted in favor of that?
Yeah, I voted aye too. I didn't know if I ended up being chairman if I could vote on it.
You
But
may.
I will vote aye too.
Okay, so that takes care of it. I will send this off to the McHenry County Auditor of what has transpired here today, okay?
Okay, no problem. Yep.
All right, thank you guys very much.